Well, it's 4:30 now. And let's see if they book in my uploaded evidence. I'll be too surprised. So my calls are blocked at 3:36 UK time to 087060714000, the main head office of Mears Group plc in England, who owns the company MPS Housing Limited. I'd also called their main number, which is on the documents, on the phone number 01206 321065. That was 3:30 and then 3:33. I'd also call the head office, a Home Group Limited Company agent, PA to CEO. The number is 0191 607 4198. All cut off. Oh, I made a requirement to call up to see clarification while they've been blocking my counterclaims. It's got nothing to do with a gas boiler check. They want me at the flat ever since 2011. I won't just go like that, thank you, Stuart. Perp at number 2, East UK. You think your connections are Freemasonry? Really? Freemasons, demonic entities, you sort out. The perps around here get all their bloody, yeah, attack me monarch, you're monitoring as well. Blocking my internet access, I don't, do you know something? You know, and it's like I'm doing things in between. I really am doing things in between. And these companies really hate people that are absolutely aware. The gangstalking evidence, blocking my calls, reduce evidence of gangstalking the housing company, right? Let's see if it's still processing. Yeah, they're still delaying processing my upload evidence. Once ever it gets uploaded, you'll see the evidence firsthand. Who's breached your contract? In contract law, which is straightforward. You can't make it up. Oh, what? Stuart doesn't like the fact that I've been living here since 2009. Tough luck, you arsehole. I might have spelled Freemasons wrong, but it's bigger picture to this. Because if I didn't get blocked at goods and services in lawful due process, being blacklisted unlawfully, then I wouldn't be in the situation I am. The perps, when they want to rent out a flat round here for the paid gang stalkers at flat 3, flat 9, flat 7, they will gut all those flats out and re-put everything brand new in. But I've been here 13 years. Am I offered any new kitchen upgrade? No. Am I offered the bathroom upgrade? No. But they don't ask anybody else to move out. They can work around them. Oh, what is it? Because I'm the only one in this area, East UK, prime area for Agenda 2030 policies. Yeah, with physical disabilities. Well, I think that's pure hate, unlawful hate in England against those with physical disabilities. Yeah. So Mark Henderson, CEO, who may or may not be a member of a lodge, who's on a huge amount per year. And I wonder if he's got similar problems. No, because he owns his own home. But do you realise your portfolio of your company is going to be in your reputation in great jeopardy by the time I'm finished? Do you think I'm going to sit quietly about this now? No. I have not interfered with all these perpetrators around here. I could easily go and knock on their door and give them the same treatment. But I don't respond unlawfully. Not like they do. I don't block disabled access in the car park and put glass by the communal block, i.e. where I will get damage in my wheelchair wheels. But those perpetrators are flat free and they're drunken drug dealer, alleged drug dealing, I say for my protection. Stuart, you're sitting on your 80 grand car. You think you're so all that. You're not. You are nothing but a perpetrator that abused women all those years ago before I moved here. You know exactly what I know. So what he does, you see, he's sucked up to people in all these years, right? And he thinks he can pull your strings, do you? I think he's absolutely just sold his soul out a long time ago. Oh, he controls with Mandy. You've got to forget about the witch. No, the witch, alleged witch, the satanic witch. She was a porn star, allegedly, and a glamour model. She's always at the pub getting drunk. And just because she gets the older gentlemen fellas round and use them to do her building work in her flat and take over the garden areas, make all look pretty, and they all suck up to the home group company agents for years. These people were planted before I moved here. So of course it was no by design that these have started happening all these years I moved in. So this bigger picture to all and organised stalking, gang stalking is unlawful. Oh, and there was somebody doing a speech called GQHC MI5 Jeremy something. And I'm going to screen share this individual because MI5. Let's have a look. Let's have a look who these people are part of the program. Well, this is not just these companies; it's all linked together. So when you get put on a watch list, this is what goes on. So, these really evil demonic people damage that there's a part of my bathroom wall from outside the vent. Right. So let's have a look at the history of those. So he joined the MI5 in 1993. He gained operational investigation leadership across all four range. Guess what? The so-called London terrorist attacks in 2005. I was down there soon after. Right, claimed to lead the revision of the publication of the counter-terrorism strategy, more likely put more people on a watch list that haven't done anything. And it goes on. Oh, he took part the reference to Olympics 2012. Have you ever investigated the satanic side around all that organisation? He was appointed the champion of the Order of the Bar for Freemason, was it? Is it linked to Freemasonry? Who knows? I'm not an expert, but I know the Freemasonry is very much the history of 1700s, maybe even farther back. So yeah, I thought so. Order founded by George I on the 18th of May 1725, the name devised from the medieval ceremony appointing a knight, which involves bathing symbolism to one of its elements, a night so created known as Knights of the Bath. Yeah, to regular military order. So, yeah, interesting, I suppose. All right. In the GCHQ, Femin, that this guy, had overseen the creation of the National Cybersecurity Centre. It's Big Brother. Bye. Hello. That's blocking on my internet. With a mission to make the UK the safest place to live. No, it's not. It's more surveillance. If you like to go and look at the website, Big Brother Watch, I think it's .org. We I think. Anyway, and do business online. Really? Well, you better stop hacking me then and stop monitoring me. It became a world leader, really, and bring together. It's not a government. They're limited companies. No such thing as government. You're governed by consent. Acts and statutes. Look it up and learn your lawful rights. The industry means business and commerce. International partners means international trade agreements and contracts. Get it right. Get the wording right. To look for cyber threats and inform the public. How are you going to do that? You're going to log in with your biometric data then into the internet. Femin overseeing a significant period of growth. It's not an agency, it's a corporation, by the way. With the development of a static base in Manchester, really. And a focus on diverse inclusion, yeah. Well, I'd love to see that being taken place. In 2019, he led the GHQ's celebrations, really. We should stop spying every bloody Tom, Dick and Harry. With the publication and landmark official history. I don't think you've seen official history. Oh, by the way, Ministry of Defence is also a limited company and announced with the National Cyber Force. Look at the definitions and meaning of words in Black's Law Dictionary. Go for the 3rd, 5th, or 6th edition, and it'll really be interesting. For the word force. A change in with development cyber operations. He was appointed as again. Oh, another order was it? The commander of the Order of St. Michael and St. George on the 2021 birthday honours, really, for national security. More like a spy. So, what is this then, yeah? Order of St. Michael and George comes later upon the King, George IB. I don't know which one that was. Let's have a look. Quite ancient. Look at that. King of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, Ireland, and Hanover, the death of his father, King George III, in January 29th, 1820, until his own death 10 years later. That's a shame. At the time of his accession in the throne, he was acting as Prince Regent. Ah, okay. So, the name of two military saints. Martyrs were they? Associated with military, they were composed of early Christians who were soldiers in the Roman army. All leads back to Rome, doesn't it, in the biblical sense? Army during the persecution of Christians. Wow, St. Michael, which one was that? St. Michael the Archangel. No, that's interesting. Films out there about that you might want to look at. And is an archangel in Judaism, Christianityism, and some other faith. Earliest surviving mentions of the name are the 3rd and 2nd century. Yeah, I was studying similar works years ago. St. George. A Christian who, as a saint of Christianity according to tradition, who's a soldier in the Roman army. Saint George was a soldier and Greek origin, a member of the guard for Roman Empire. What do they do, Rome? All these back. Order St. Michael and George, originally awarded to holding commands of high positions in the Mediterranean territories, acquired in the Napoleonic Wars. 1815, look at that. The series of global conflicts pitting the French Empire and its allies. Nothing new, is it? Led by Napoleon. Who financed Napoleon Wars? And the Army of Europe states formed into various correlations. Wow. So what else? So look. Well, British Empire's changed now, isn't it? What, the new king? I'm sure it will be. Commonwealth, definitely. So that's that one. Go back at that. What else did he do? Right, so here we go. He is behind October 2018. That's when I realised I was being gangstalked and target individual. He said, UK must continue to think strategically about its national response to new generation technology. I think you're talking about AI, don't you? Or more advancement in that. You know exactly what's going on with underground dams. You exactly know what's going on with adults and children. Unlawfully. It goes on as part of the International Institute of Static Studies. Psychological tactics, is it? Think tanks. Mm? Look at Tapster Institute. Anyway, they've been built on the following moth when speaking. Let's have a look at his early life, if there is such a thing. He made his first public speech about it. You know what it's all leading. And then he's going reference to a war in Ukraine, Austrian National University. It's something about his early life. Oh, is he preceded by somebody else now? They're civil servants. So I just wondered who it was. They've left out his personal data. Perhaps. Mm. Because he was in the news, apparently. We must tackle China's satellite busting technology, says the chief. How long ago was that? 18 hours ago. Britain is sliding doors. Moment of history. Now is the time to act to tackle China's manipulation technology. Fear driving China's tech manipulation poses a threat to all UK. Come on, the real data. Really? China's causing financial and scientific muscle to manipulate technologies and matter and globals. I'll get into one. Oh, I'll go back to this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, as I'm monitoring what I do and say, I'm going to put some spiritual uplifting music. This is interesting times, isn't it? Of sort of sharing just plays in the background because nobody turned up today. Not one. It's something to it. Nobody. Let me just block that. I don't know if it's uploaded yet, my video. And my evidence. You know, oh, you need to make a call. No, I do that to by email. They're blocking my emails, a censorship on my blinking stuff. I go into Drive and see it's been uploaded. I made a bloody rebuttal to the assumptions of private life. Telling me get to my bloody Drive application. Because on Saturday, the 8th or the 10th, 2022, it's just ridiculous. This should be uploading. The phone's hacked anyway, and the cause was being rerouted. What's the point? I'm fed up with this. I've got so much evidence, it just doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't matter why they're bloody well just beelining for me. So what they're doing to people that are trying to help others. Right. See, I've got to screen share this because they're blocking my internet access. Blocking the rerouting. So basically, in a nutshell, MI5, MI6, what's it called? GCHQ, the not so intelligent corporations are blocking all access. Now, when I made 2 calls, condition under arrest, let me just hold on, make feedback thing. I'm getting the feedback still. I think that's done. Yeah. So basically, yeah, our counterclaimed about rebuttal. This is a process of the gangstalking freemasons, right? So on a practical everyday level, recent things claiming, oh, we can't get access to your private home due to the gas boiler service. BS. Okay. I've got email evidence, I've got letters, recorded posts. What more do you want? And to offer the date since the first letter. So since the 12th of the 9th, 2022. And then all the recent dates I've offered within UK in statute law. As long as you offer within the 2-month timeline, which for me will be the 11/11/2022, which I have done, they deliberately have blocked those dates and not responded to my emails and not responded to my counterclaims. And today I'd phoned up to see if they actually did get my bloody email. And this is the head office, Mears Group PLC in England. It's agents, the main office number to get put through to the director of operations, not just an admin. Yeah, because I've had this for years, and I'm absolutely, they need to actually step up the game and to act upon the terms and conditions of this contract I've had since 2009. And not blame me for every dumb bloody thing that they don't do right. So I've had the 2 bloody fans apparently got a tip off. One was outside my bloody window area while I was asleep at 8:20 in the morning. I know that agent lives in the town, but he uses a work van. Yeah. And then there was another agent using the same, well, not the same van, but this time a smaller van. But it wasn't here for no job. And it was here for me. It's 11:30 in the morning. I'd offered from 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Always do. All these years. I've got all this evidence. It doesn't matter if it's this offer services or something else. And 7 working days notice. Okay, normal post or email. All these years. Yeah. So started becoming a problem when bloody I woke up to the fact of 2000 bloody, well, before that, the setup was 2000 March 2017. I found they bloody did BS throughout that year, which I fully rebutted to each CEO agent of these corporations with a libel and slander, cease and desist. So they weren't happy with that with the housing, were they? So they had to steam up and lies and slander even more with local puppet servants. So throughout 2018, by 2019, I've got this massive bloody evidence of who, and I won't go into specifics, but who failed me in the subject of health, adult social care. Yeah, and I have no lawful obligation to share my private data, non-housing related, to certain agents who are just don't give a shite. 2022 plus for the future, they really want people in my situation to move out into controlled environment. Really? Really? No, there's no lawful ground. And yet, who blocked the lawful right to repair? So when you research and learn your lawful rights, well, You're even more of a target. You shouldn't be, but this is what they do not like. You know, the tort law, which I know about, I've done my documents to the T, to the fact, sentence grammar, etc., correctly. Yeah, because you have to be your own, educate yourself in knowledge and facts, and whether it's statute law, contract law, tort law, common law, whatever. Because when you are subjected to all this unlawful treatment, you counterclaim. Now, it's a commercial lien personally on the COC, very much so. So, but again, they still get away with it because we're not dealing with the flesh and blood. They're really demonic. You know, when you're still trying physically existing, and yet you got people around here. There are so many disabled people in England looking for accessible housing, ground floor flats, for example, wheelchair. You know, the lady before me, she's in a wheelchair, right? Not as the situation I am in. She had a partner with her. They drove her out. That's pure hatred. We're all living souls trying to get on, but unfortunately, you've got very key, especially now, very key demonic individuals that sold out. So when you look at the history of Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite, uh, uh, um, Albert J. Pike, and all the history of all this, I don't give a shite about ordinary members. What they do is their business. But when they interfere in my life, I do have an issue. And when they think they can use their influence to actually try and block access to goods and services, I have the same right to, like anybody else, in terms and conditions of contract. Yeah, then I have an issue. Oh, what? You think that I don't? I was married to a 33 degree, very well connected Mason years ago. Don't you think I know how it works? Don't you think I know who they really worship, the Luciferian agenda? Hmm? Don't you think I know about certain people, what they really do behind the scenes? For some long time. But I don't get involved. It's not my business what they do. They're going to have to answer to their conscience. But the thing, you interfere with my private life. You think I'm going to sit by and let this go? No. Now you're using this as an excuse because you want me to get, you can't have a budget of funding using my rent and service charges to, and also blocking my lawful right to goods and services. But I want all that funds back. I have a right to sue that company, its agents, for so much, in not just in monetary terms, the harm they've caused me. A tort law. And when I tried this before, oh, it's got blocked. You know, and what they do, this is on top of what you find out with the NK Ultra Trauma based mind control program. And when you don't realize how sensitive and the technology related to all this is, you're monitored. Who the hell gave consent for number flat 7 for that Graham perpetrator to monitor me 24 hours a day? Slam bang, slam bang, slam bang. Oh yeah, you can terminology could be used as antisocial behaviour. Well, I don't give a shite. I might as well take all my cash out the bank and fuck off. Excuse my French, but it's worthless pieces of paper because the financial system's going to crash. You've got so many other bigger subjects to be concerned about, and I'm just trying to exist in my small corner of the world while this world's falling apart. And it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, wow. And I do the courtesy of calling these people to see if they are absolutely getting the correct facts, because they're using the AI computer printing company automatically making appointments I cannot do. And they know that all these years, because it's all on their systems, on the records they keep. And it's no matter what company it is, what service it is, and it's the same and it hasn't changed. And yet they're causing direct hate, discrimination, and harm to me. And I'm not going to put up with that. But I am lawful. I won't retaliate in negativity like they do to me. So you send your perks round. You do what you're doing in that sense outside. But this is trespass. You do that. You provide the full disclosure, terms, conditions, of contract. And well, I've basically done all this stuff before over the years. And I've just got to stop with it because this is a demonic side. It's really fucked up. Like yesterday, they're just like really just ramping it up. Yeah, I know they're hacking my phone. Yeah, it's alright. I think a lot of people now are absolutely, it's amazing. What you failed to upload my, wow. What I'm uploading is evidence of making those 2 calls. I didn't need to do that. So how can I say? So yeah, they called today. They failed to turn up at the Pacific time. It was agreed upon. Lisa's email on the 3rd of the 10th, 2022. She failed to get back to me. It's all pre-planned. Who the hell would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to do an email for me in the housing company? They wouldn't do that. It was all pre-done, all pre-planned. All of this is. It's like a military operation. So they're using all this as an excuse to use presumptions. Anyway, my Royal Mail PLC Corporation, they're blocking my post. I got my copy sent to me today, but I posted, well, I didn't, my friend posted for me on Monday, yesterday, the 8th of 10th, 2022, full rebuttal with evidence of the emails that Thursday, the 6th of 10th, 2022 was cancelled. And they still showed up. And because of that, they lied. Yeah? And they emailed or computer generated, whatever, went back to the housing company agents. Really? Because I know how they work. It's like before in 2021 as well. They said I wasn't in when I was. Or they turned up cold call, knowing full well, always offer an afternoon appointment, and not one individual around here is being treated like this but me. Sickening. So demonic. I have had past stuff happen to me around here where they lied to me, other stuff they've used when I didn't even have the bloody bathroom issue. Right? And I found out in 2012 all those people, what they did to me there and where I was and what happened. And there's a long history since I moved here as well, all sorts of things that's gone on. And every time I keep going, but this is why I studied law, because of 2012. And they hate it. By 2017, they set me up with the ultimate and then triggered stress after the heart attack, didn't they? You don't need to gut the bloody bathroom out, you stupid idiots. And I'm not an expert. I've checked this out independently now. I don't have a finance or independent report. You won't fund £30,000 just to do this. They won't do that. There's so much that needs doing to this bloody place because their failures to upgrade the kitchen in 2013. Do you know what one guy said to me? Oh, I didn't know you were disabled in a wheelchair. I'll get back to our company. We'll see how we can upgrade your kitchen, your circumstances. Where was that letter? Where was an email? Nothing. I chased it up. What happened? Nothing. I have still left. Since I moved in the same situation and the fittings not upgraded at all. But perpetrators around here, their flats gutted out, no expense spared. The contractors they hire, the agents they hire, no expense spared. Quite a few flats have been like that since 2017. Yeah, over 30 grand's worth. And this is what I'm left to live like. So it's like I'm camping out in a flat, but I'm paying 100 and something a week on top of service charges, and this is what I'm treated like on top. So who's got a case? Who has the lawful grounds to counterclaim for damages? I, not them. Their corporation thinks we're the New Deal, we're the future corporation of housing. But because it's so, their intimidation tactics are so demonic, really is demonic. And there's nothing unlawful, nothing I have done. And if it wasn't for blocking me to access, recycling services that I was doing before in 2020, 2021, before I suddenly got blocked, I saved up the funds to do that. The little I had in the flat, the better, in my opinion. I'm always one to make do with little and safely. And yet they blocked me. So I couldn't recycle stuff. What the hell else am I meant to do now? All this time today? Deny services. Blacklisted. So this month of October, you satanic ritual demonic entities and souls of men and women in England, you go out your way to target people and lie and manipulate, falsify documents for the sake of what? We are not threats to nobody, nor am I. But because we have spiritual, we have conscience. we are, not easily being brought out and sold out to this demonic life that's going on in this world now. But I'm always in honour and I'm always lawful. I'm very competent in what I do in my affairs and always make sure things are paid for in time, best I can, and the times we are living in, and part 2 coming up. Oh my God. So, you see, what happens with Freemasons, right? Shall I give you some background? When that Candle Ripper tried to kill me by strangling me in the 13th of, where are we now? A long time ago, mind you, 2020. Well, no, that was 2002. Before that, I was known on the television, radio, and TV, all sorts of things. I've met these people and what they really get up to, right? Hopefully you're over 18. So what they get up to in their private lives, it's their business. High empowered, excuse me, I'm having a really bad time. So, when they get up to their ripping their partner's backside, chain them up with the SM and whatever adult sexual perversion they have, right? That's their business. I met some really nice people, very high-ranking judges, police, and all sorts of public servants that really do take part in these activities. Naturists, people in the nude that like to hang out their wares in these saunas and these parties and all sorts. Adult content. But it was all consensual. And these people really, apart from what they get up to in their perversions, they were quite nice people and they were Freemasonry, well connected. So, just because I looked the part at the time, being a former, a certain image, it was just very superficial, image. But they were nice people, and I learned a lot about the not everything, because I'm not obviously pry to their ins and outs, but I had enough information. And when I met my ex-husband, who turned out to be a 33-degree Mason and a member of this Masonic lodge in this town, and when I got hold in the late 90s of the Masonic, what they call it is like a list in this book. So before I dealt with anybody, I found if they were named in this book, a list, I would not deal with them because of what I know. And they sold their souls out a long time ago. So therefore, When I uncovered the child pedophilia, the demonic ring of abuses of children in my area, I thought at the time there was meant to be people that would help these innocent children underage that was being things, real sick things happening to them. And then all these years later, I find the one main political ringleader is still prominently involved in 2022. So you can see why I'm a high target for them to get rid of me in any means they can and use my physical disabilities against me and then lie and use this housing situation against me, where everything I have studied from 2012 to date, which is lawful and honourable, is held against me. So my conditional acceptance under duress today for 2 phone calls to see why they are blocked the 2 dates remaining within UK National Health and Safety Law for gas servicing of a boiler. Why do you think they blocked the dates and not turned up today? And there's a date tomorrow which they won't turn up from 2 to 4. All the emails, letters and evidence they blocked, ignored. Who do you think's at fault? Not I. And there's a certain, I don't give a shite if he listens or hears. And that individual, you know what? I won't put any words to it because he doesn't deserve any titles and names. Perpetrator of Flat 2. He is behind every damn bloody thing since I've moved in. And the slander, which I don't give a shite about, but it affected my personal care soon as I got one over on top. And yet he would stir like an old bloody witch, in a sense. He would just stir like a great big stirring pot. So much BS, it's unbelievable. And then I couldn't even believe it that the former guy who was meant to be the tenant opposite me of flat 7, he subletted it out and he cheated, his lied like anything that he was so ill could work. But he was like a Dale boy. The TV show used to be known as Only Fools and Horses. And the character called Dale Boy was a wheeler and dealer, and that was what that guy was like. And in antiques. So he travelled abroad, pretend he's ill, claiming benefits, and get free housing, and then suddenly he sublets a flat to a great big bloody, well-organised transfer, unlawfully, under the nose, all full knowledge of this housing company. Because what happens, they get paid. The rent per these flats are let out for these gangstalkers to live in are paid to this housing company that I rent from. And I can't tell you how many of them now are involved. And it sounds like a bloody movie, but it's reality. Now you tell me why none of their flats have problems with their repairs. And if it needs repair straight away, but with me, no, nothing. Nothing. So, and now they're claiming that I'm in breach of tenancy, I'm a breach of contract. Well, all due respect, my rebuttal, which is point-to-point rebuttal, stands as fact in law in England. And I've already dealt with other issues that they've set me up. So all of this BS 2017 as well, okay, to date. Blocking the 3-day repairs in my floor, which is like a what they call it, a chipboard type flooring. They could easily, the carpenters, take it out and put new ones in. Nope. So they falsify a report, and it wasn't even a lawful surveyor's report, that they need to go out the whole of, this is how they worded it, the whole of the bathroom. And I find out years later, there's not even a disabled wet room. When I paid myself, saved up to go to disabled accessible hotel room, and I took pictures what a wet room is meant to be like, and compared it to my flat, no, I was unlawfully misled of being let this place in the first place. And when a flooring company took up the covering on the bathroom floor, they found the whole wood was black, wooden, rotten floor, because the water, if anyone's a plumber, the water seal on the level access shower part was not lawfully raised high enough for the index for the water of the shower coming down. It leaked underneath the floorboards. Since 2009 up until 2017. So who's at fault? And this is where they're covering everything up to get me out the flat, because they don't want to cough up for compensation or open up to their failures and their negligence. And on top, where the gaslighting is part of it, and you're labelled and put on the targeted list on top, they're getting away with it. So, of course, trying to imply now, with all the gangstalkers living around here, that, oh, she's not allowing access to her home to get the gas service done. Oh, now she's putting all the public at risk. Gas, yeah, the word gas and safety, keywords. Well, I caught that one out. So I phoned up today. Oh, of course, the two calls. Well, I've got a screenshot of the calls for my protection. It got blocked because I was going to have it out, but politely, but assertively. And to say, well, your all due respect, I've got 2 emails by you, Lisa, that you claimed that MPS Housing Limited Company's agents haven't got back to you by now. And you've had 4 dates now to offer to get in to do this gas boiler. So how come it's now the 3rd of the 10th, 2022, and the first date I've offered of Tuesday last week, the 4th of the 10th, 2022, is too late. You haven't got back to me in time. So that has to be rebooked. Oh, by the way, I need an urgent confirmation by Wednesday, the 5th of October, 2022. Did I get an email? No. So, of course, Thursday comes, 6th of the 10th, 2022, at 10 o'clock in the morning. I cannot walk. I'm asleep. And that perp bangs on my bloody door and puts a card through. I get tipped off about that. Okay. So my counterclaim email went straight to Lisa for the housing company agent, the CEO PA, to let her know about this, that she's got 2 emails I've got to confirm that she had cancelled that. So why are they still coming? So she hasn't responded to that email, did she? I wonder why. Because she knew it was going to happen. And therefore, so did the agents. Because I know from history, the Mears Group PLC Corporation in England is part of MPS Housing in contract law. And its agents only get paid when they have the say so. The contract terms are offered by this housing company's agents for the service. Okay, they don't turn up because they won't get paid otherwise, right? It's the housing company that's responsible for doing this, and the MPS Housing Limited are just the agents. They're just a dog's body. It's always been that. So when Phil Hunter sends a letter to make assumptions on breach of contract, they're using a London AI printing company to send letters, and that AI computer generates the morning calls twice, knowing full well on my history, on my records, it clearly states for the housing subject to offer after 2 p.m. So they're not communicating, so much for technology. And this is to cause further anxiety, further discrimination. Oh my gosh, on top of everything else. So hello, by the way. Empowered, I hope you're doing better than me. Because I've got to focus on getting something to eat. Because this is what they do, and I need to relax. Because this is just BS. Hiya. I'm just eating a nice little yogurt with some flax seeds. And when they get in a negativity mode, it's like they feed off this well, I don't even need to say more, but let me just point out there is a postal strike coming up. So this NK Ultra trauma is what it means, trauma. And I want to relive actions, relive this, re-gagitate, go over and over and over and over the same old. So the brain interface technology can monitor. It's really demonic. can monitor one's reactions. It's unbelievable. Very sophisticated technology. So I'm just making notes on my I'm just making notes so there's no show. My call at 3:30, today is just no answer, no show. And now I'm gonna have to, get that cash at the bloody bank. Because I tried to log into my bank and they hacked my phone. So I can't even do the logging in on that regard. So get my banking situation and affairs sorted. Because I've just lost some notes, so bear with me. I've got to make sure they're organised correctly. And what's important when you're going through all this is to eat. Keep rest, try and eat best you can. Because this is so. I think I've mixed this up. When you keep a diary and journal on what's going on and documenting the evidence of it, I have mixed this. So 2019 in England. Okay, I've got all these past notes and evidence. Who is behind trying to get me out of the flat? And because of my experiences before, I've got a very sharp memory. I've got this report of 2019. It's bad enough to be failed by the offer of health and social care and the director of who that was 2019. Well, and then you realise by 2018, my gosh, this is bigger. It's just not just one subject, it's all linked. And then you find out the libel and slander came out of this woman's mouth. The threats and lies about my private life. In a report, Susan, she's called. Just 17th of April 2019, and all the documentation, all the data has all changed, what it's called now. And And when you start finding the picture, the bigger picture about when you consequence, you realise that all they want to, I've got my notes from quite a while ago as well. They're going on the presumption about your private life. Now, everything, not just housing subjects, as I said, it's all linked when you target it, interlinked. So, my private life, in reference to from 2017, and what I had to find out the hard way. So now what I know is what I know, kind of thing. Let me just get my bits and bobs into. Yeah, Sam put, I won't say what she calls, Sam just got a fix. She failed me back in 2018. When I approached, at the time, lawyers in housing disrepair, I started finding that I was being blocked for remedy. And then I had to take it on myself. So, yeah, I'm just trying to get my notes into. So when you find it's all business and commerce, it always is. And then when you find it's more demonic, I will never divulge certain things I know about certain individuals. I am the settler of the trust and equity law. And yeah, when you do your rebuttals, I was just trying to making sure I'm not misled my paperwork. It's amazing how times have changed. Yeah. So I'm the settler, and does anybody know about trust and equity? It's just, when you learn these things, it's like, wow, I am meant to be in control. And there isn't any lawful jurisdiction or where anyone has any authority. But when they stitched me up in 2012 as well, and 2013, I began learning very quickly about these subjects. Case I haven't to. And I've got printouts and done a bad straight, and also I need to start looking into the bills that was changed out 1882, promissory notes, and the fraud's been used upon the world for so long. That's a good point. I forgot all about that one. It's amazing what you find out information, but the fact is now what we're looking at is in AI, biotech, technology, in components of the global issues, and in England, and what's going on in the bigger picture of the subjects too. Notice of fault, you see, I've done all these things about where did this place me before. I've got notes about this, about rebuttals. 2019, they wanted me forced out on my own, and I sussed out who was behind that, what was behind that. And all due respect, they've been on my back ever since to try and make assumptions about my private life. So I'm just, yeah, I found some information. Yeah, oh, don't want to get your voice on camera. Private friend, I've got to go. But this is made without prejudice, non-consumption, and these corporations are fully aware of the invasion of privacy Right, that's that one. How to autograph your documents under duress without liability is very important to know if one wants to know. That is. Okay. Where do that go? I'll put some uplifting spiritual affirmations on in a moment. I believe the King James Bible version and any spiritual and peaceful relaxation music is going to be helpful for those who are going through trauma and those who are being monitored unlawfully. There you go, I found it. Right, I need the DUNS number. Right, also, a CEO of, what was that one? No, that was a different one. Okay. I was looking for something a while ago. I'm looking to Imperial College and reference to the trauma side because Tabitha Institute, that's a good one to look at. Rockefellers, right, that's what I need. Looking for that. Just looking for some notes. I think that's it. I'm looking for. Because people may or may not know of certain things, but I am very aware. Sadly, a lot of stuff, a lot of information. I wish I didn't know sometimes. So, I really just put all this. This is no show. Excuse me. Got this back in where it was. Keep on a journey, I'll finish off what I've got to do. And put some affirmations on. Spiritual affirmations. Oh, somebody else. Jesus Christ, I wrote down the phone number. Alright, let me just get up to date if anything's going on. Nursing, they want to get on strike as well. Nursing, oh god. Royal College of Nursing is a limited company in England. I wish I didn't know as much sometimes. My gosh. Yeah, so many people going through this as well. Not just me, it's quite a few of us. I can't see anything because I can't see popular notifications. Flying car. See, this is like the movie. The technology is like a movie. Bill Cooper, Our Time, he knew back in the 90s what was going on. A long, long time ago. For goodness me. Robot says AI is a threat. An opportunity to, oh God, what now? You can't believe the times we're living in. It's biblical. Wow. They've got a robot in the House of Lords. This is in England, and they got a Chinese dressed robot. I cannot believe this. Right, I'll screen share this. I cannot believe they're actually doing this in England. This is now changing the subject. Right. House of Lords is limited company. Look at this. I don't mean might not be able to hear it either. Pop-ups everywhere.
Yeah. And my robotic arm to paint on canvas, which results in visually appealing images. How this differs to humans is consciousness. I do not have subjective experiences,
Can't hear it.
despite being able to talk about them. I am and depend on computer programs and algorithms. Although not alive, I can still create art. Technology has already had a huge impact on the way we create and consume art. For example, the camera and the advent of photography and film. And it is likely that this trend will continue with new technologies. There is no clear answer as to the impact on the wider field, as technology can be both a threat and an opportunity for artists creating art.
Yeah, right. Robots as a threat and an opportunity to artists showing laws. Oh my goodness. Whatever. Stop showing. What's a threat? They can control the brain interface technology humans of the flesh and blood, not artificially made. Oh my gosh. And now you've got flying cars. Oh gosh. Ridiculous. This isn't another target individual she's going through, bless her heart. I'm making my sound really quiet now. Oh, piss off. They're just really hacking into every part from everything else. This device is really making it quiet. This is my bluntness. 100%. Can you sing? Let's try this to cast your demons out. 3. I can hear that. I'm going to listen to what spirits are uplifting because these are attacks happening spiritually. Can't hear that practically. These global elites really don't give a monkey. What they try and say that the public needs to do, they don't do it themselves. Yeah, definitions, the meaning of words. Webster's dictionary. There's nanopartic. There's all sorts of things going on now. The AI technology has been around for a long time. As vegetables not cooked properly. Gaslighting, freemasonry. You want to know about Freemasons? Not orange skies. I'm just now sky watching. I'm going to lighten the subject because it's all spiritual. This is all demonic. It's unbelievable. I don't consent for this treatment ever. Hopping around waiting for nothing. I should charge these agents for my time. Comets and sky. There's comets. I'm looking. Oh my goodness me! Reflections of the sun stimulator in the skies in Oxford. Hold on, I've got to pause that. Why they want to cover up, the truth? Wow, I've got to screen share this image. You don't need these things, I tell you. They're talking my head and making my hair feel like straw. It's 2 days in a row again. So this is Oxford and England. This is meant to be the sun. Oh, I don't think so. Right in the middle, this is a van, and you have what's above in the sky, below, reflecting that. It is known, and you don't have a large sun exposure like that ever. It's not natural. See it reflecting on the vehicles, car. There's a bus coming through. Let's see what that does. Yeah, the reflection down there. So you've got meant to be exposure reflections of the radiation there. Then it's up there. It's massive. It really is spiritual, the attacks. the emotions, this helps, this really is. It's horrific. And this, but this is I don't believe anyone should be taking care of anybody. Oh my goodness me, right. These are public servants in my area, UK. West Northamptonshire, 11th of October, they say.
Long may that continue. We keep a close eye, right, so on the finance.
This evening, we have nothing to receive from
Oh my
overview
goodness
and
me,
scrutiny,
something
so
I
we'll go
know
straight
and
to
I
our
can't mention
first
about.
report, which is with Adam. This is amendments to the Articles of Association. In a moment, we'll ask Adam to introduce the report, but first we have three speakers registered in the following order. I have Councillor Purser, Councillor Randall, and then Councillor Harris. So, Bob, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to welcome this report. I know it represents a lot of work among officers both of NPH and of WNC, and I think that should be noted, and thank you to them. I hope that this really does represent a commitment to the authority investing in the future of social housing and the need for social housing in our area. We want people to be well housed in well-designed housing, good quality housing. And we've got a huge demand, and I think NPH is well placed to meet it. I suppose the things that I particularly welcome are the endorsement of the role of tenants in the management of the organisation. I know they make a real contribution to the work of the board, and it's good that that is going to be continued. I think that's a positive way forward. I also welcome the expansion of the geographical area, and I think that provides us with real opportunities across the area, and I think that's an important step forward. But constitutions only go so far. Terms of reference, it's about us having a good working relationship with NPH, and I would ask that the Cabinet Member for Housing sort of continues the work of improving that relationship with NPH, so that there's a good join up between NPH and all the different departments in the authority, not just housing, but all the other departments, so that we have real added value from close working relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much indeed. Our next speaker then is Councillor Wendy Randall. Wendy, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Mine's a very quick question, really. Now that we are West Northamptonshire, will it be Northampton Partnership Homes that will be rolling out into the other two areas? So if they're new builds, will it be in partnership with Northampton Partnership Homes rather than other organisations?
Okay, thank you. Good question. I know that Adam will be able to cover that. And then finally, Jonathan, Councillor Harris.
Evening, councillors. I also would like to echo welcome of this report. I was actually just listening to the radio on the way down here, listening to the continued challenges of social housing, and particularly with private developers not fulfilling their commitments and promises. So I hope that this can be a means to progress and deliver on a wider basis across the area. My question really is just a simple point of clarification. It refers in the articles of a name change to Northamptonshire Partnership Homes, and it talks about the covering of the West Northants area. I just wanted to clarify, is it just the West Northants area or is it wider? And just wondered why it wasn't there for West Northamptonshire Partnership Homes. That's all really simple clarification. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Jonathan. Adam, we'll hand over to you to introduce the report and perhaps cover some of those points raised.
Thank you, Chairman. And yeah, this report reflects a long period of work between both officers at West Northamptonshire Council and senior parties at Northampton Partnership Homes, or the organisation that will soon be Northamptonshire Partnership Homes. Work's been conducted in a very positive spirit and with great excitement about what the future may hold for both parties involved. The name change that's been touched upon already, in fact, reflects the legal status that has existed since vesting day upon the change of the councils that we underwent in Northamptonshire. Northampton Partnership Homes assumed the right to be the social housing landlord across the new district that was formed within West Northamptonshire. So to answer Councillor Harris's question, is it wider than West Northamptonshire? No, but to retain the brand identity of NPH, we made the very simple change from Northampton to Northamptonshire. Councillor Randall asked whether MPH will be rolling out into the other two areas. There isn't anything in the pipeline as yet that confirms that they will do so, but the option is on the table. If we see projects that are financially viable and are preferable to other options that come our way, then we're able to deliver in that fashion. But we have a wide range of very good partners in the housing association world, our registered providers.
Improve the quality standards
to provide fantastic homes to people in the South Northampton areas, and we're committed to continuing to work with them in order to deliver the social housing that we need.
Independent, active
I'd like to thank Councillor Purser for his positive comments. He touched upon the working relationship, and actually the reason that we have the paper before us tonight is that we want to carry on building the very constructive and very positive working relationship that's started to flourish under the new council, and that's in large part it was that hard work was started by the gentleman to my left.
Where was that? Never even heard of that one.
Who fulfilled the role of the executive director overseeing housing in the very early days, and it's been continued in fantastically positive fashion by Jane Carr sitting in front of me. They both worked extremely hard to construct a positive relationship with MPH. I have a very good working relationship with the chief executive there and the chairman of their board, and long may that continue. Keep a close eye, rightly so, on the finances of the HRA. That's the responsible thing to do, and we'll work very hard to ensure that every project that comes forward is financially viable, but most importantly, that it serves the needs of
Okay,
both
so you've
existing
got
tenants and
public
those
member
on the housing waiting
health and
list.
leisure
So
is
this
Adam
is just a
Brown.
first step
I know about,
towards
oh
that,
my
but it's a
goodness,
positive
it's the
step.
same man.
I hope that Cabinet will welcome the
Can't
report and
quite
accept the
anything
recommendations.
about him.
Thank you, Adam. Actually, I'd echo your thanks both to Stuart and Jane for the tremendous work that they've done. Northamptonshire Partnership Homes are now an important part of the West Northants family, and the relationship is good. And thanks also go to the new chair, relatively new chair, Andrew Woods, who we're working with very closely. Tremendous enthusiasm from him. And of course, to Mike Kay and all the officer team who continue to do great things. This brings opportunity with the housing associations, Futures, Grand Union, others. It enables us to do more should we choose to, given the challenges around housing. Any other comments at all from members of the Cabinet on this item? No, in which case I just draw your attention to the recommendations, which are at section 3 as always. Can I just ask you to confirm your agreement to the recommendations, please? Thank you.
Passed it straight away.
And I should add that actually Adam, myself and colleagues will be joining MPH for their AGM on Friday and celebrating, thanking them for all that they're doing. Move on then, if we may, to a report which will be presented by Fiona, which is the proposal to extend the age range at Parkland's maintained nursery school. On this item, we don't have any speakers, Fiona, so it's straight over to you.
So it's a corporate plan for 20.
As the Chairman has said, it's to increase the age range of Parkland's maintained nursery school from 3 to 4 to 2 to 4 years old. This is due to the fact that Parkland's preschool is going to close shortly. This will mean a loss of places for 2 to 3 year olds. The Parkland maintained nursery school, which is located on the same site, can accommodate this. And they're much needed places. I'm sure everybody will agree that we need really good childcare for those families where both adults have to work, which is most families these days. And where we can, I think we should support good childcare for these young children. So they are much needed places, but has to follow a statutory consultation process. The consultation has taken place. The council consultation didn't receive any responses, even though we publicised it. But there was 22 to 24 responses from Parkland's consultation. All were in full support. Educationally, this is a positive move. All provision under the leadership of a qualified senior teacher and seamless transition then into the primary school later. This is a low risk financially to the council, as all provision is funded by the DSG or parental contributions. So if agreed, the transfer will take place on 31st of October. So I can't see a reason why anybody would not agree.
So they're pushing for the children. Children starting.
Thank you. As we do, we've discussed this in advance. I don't think we have any objections. Does anybody want to make any comments at this point on this proposal?
Right now.
No, in which case the recommendation is at section 3, which is recommended to Cabinet the proposal to lower the emission range at Parklands. Can I just ask you to confirm your agreement to that recommendation? Agreed? Thank you.
Look at this.
That takes on to item 8, which is the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman Annual Review. 3 speakers, Councillor Randall, Councillor Roberts and Councillor Harris. So Wendy, over to you.
Look at this. Access to health and social care when they need it. That's biodata.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, picking up on a recommendation, 2.8. I was quite surprised to see that end as a recommendation to mutually agree the remedy at an early stage. I would have thought that naturally you always try to remedy something at an early stage so it doesn't escalate. So
they don't make it clear about.
I just thought that was quite strange for that to be in there. And all of the complaints seem to be in adult or children services. And just reading page 58, they just seem to be reoccurring theme. You know, EHC process is lengthy, and I just wondered, you know, is this because of lack of staff to carry out these EHCPs? And if so, how are we going to shorten that time? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Roberts, Emma.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the report. It's obviously, it will be to you, worrying to note that over half of the complaint queries had not been responded to with the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman references capacity, though, within the department, and I can't see anywhere within the report or the recommendations that talks about how we're going to address that at all. It is worrying that education and children's services and adults are the highest number of complaints. They're obviously our biggest statutory services, though, so I appreciate there's a correlation there. But I was really pleased to see that the Ombudsman, in not only in our report, but also in the actual Ombudsman's report itself, seems to be focusing quite clearly on the role that councillors have in respect to the scrutiny around this. So therefore, I think it's quite supportive of an action I've suggested, which is a full review of all open cases to ensure that we've acted appropriately and that the correct EHCP, if applicable, is in place. Most importantly, where necessary, alternative provision is provided. The Ombudsman also appears to support scrutiny, and I've requested a scrutiny panel is developed to review our SEND offering and the way we manage this entire process. I'm also a little bit concerned about the number of complaints that may not be logged as part of this process. A number of complaints will perhaps come through councillors. And when I say it's a complaint, a resident will come to us, we will address an issue, but it won't necessarily be logged as a formal complaint. I think the same will apply to carer groups or other organisations that perhaps pick up an issue on behalf of a group of or an individual, and that's not logged. And I think that potentially masks some of the complaints that we are actually seeing around this service. I'd actually welcome that there's a recommendation added specifically around scrutiny here. I have been talking to both the assistant director and director around this process, but I think we're missing a trick here. You could add a simple recommendation that arises and recommends scrutiny. Finally, there's 55,983.43 paid out by NCC to upheld complaints. And I wondered, as we're now in November, do we know what our current position looks like for both the children's services and adults? Looking at an in-year position on this might be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Emma. Finally, on this one, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. There are obviously a few highlights there which are a little disappointing. But obviously the numbers of complaints aren't in overall capacity of a high number, but it does highlight some potential issues. I also acknowledge that there are some of them relate to legacy issues from previous councils. My first point really is I think it indicates that potentially we should be more transparent in tracking complaints at earlier stages. It seems to me overall a point of speed and visibility perhaps is one of the challenges that exists here. And perhaps we should be looking at complaints as a KPI in regular reporting. So at least everyone around this table and beyond has some oversight and perspective on what actually the issues might be. That might ensure that they don't get escalated and perhaps not dealt with quickly enough. The action plan itself is fine, although I would have argued it's a little loose. It would be good to see a few more specifics in there, particularly for me about accountability of who will actually monitor and drive the improvement that's needed. And really the final point I want to make actually is sort of indirectly linked. We know that it's particularly tough times at the moment and as Councillor Roberts has highlighted, it is in some of our high pressure point service areas. I think we also need to be making sure that we have systems in place to monitor and support staff. They're facing pressures constantly, and although this does highlight issues that we need to address, I think we need to try and make sure that we're ensuring that our staff are supported also, because I'm sure this creates an inordinate amount of pressure for them too. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. A number of useful points there. On the point about early resolution, I noticed that, which is the figure I'm after, 13% of upheld cases, we found the organisation to provide a satisfactory remedy before the complaint reached the ombudsman. So we're about on par, 12 against 13. Certainly, I think there's something about complaints as a KPI. Yeah. Scrutiny, happy to encourage that as well. It doesn't need to be recommendation. Scrutiny, absolutely free to. More than happy for scrutiny. Too. Some of these were mentioned as adults and children, and I know that Stuart wanted to chip in. Should we hand over to you at that point, Stuart?
Thank you, Chairman. So in the context of the children's work, we will be bringing a report through Councillor Baker in November, which sets out our improvement strategy around SEND. And one of the aspects of that will be around how do we reduce the level of complaints, but also be much more timely in relation to the complaints that we receive. If you look at the two themes from an adult perspective, there's the theme in relation to delays around decision making when we look for support for adults with learning disabilities. We had quite significant staffing shortages during that kind of first year of West Northants, which has contributed to those delays. That team's fully staffed now, so we should see an improvement. The second one pertains to the removal of charges on people's properties. And that's something we're really focusing on from a financial perspective to make sure that we don't have that detriment moving forward. I suppose the other thing to kind of mention in the context of kind of scrutiny, looking at this as a reflective organisation, this really orientates our ability to learn from people's experiences. So we're likely to get a level of positivity out of that in relation to future learning going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to comment at all on this? Make any comments, perhaps where it affects their own area? Or any questions at all? Matt?
Yeah, well, just to support your comments, Leader. I think certainly, as is mentioned, the adults are a proportionately high, obviously because of the size of the service, area of complaints. So I'd be keen also to see and keep updated on, in-year performance and how we're looking at the moment. So just to support what you said. Thank you.
I don't know. I suppose it might be easy to reach for things.
Well, it makes sense why things are happening with me.
Take some legacy NCC stuff. COVID was in there and all the rest of it. We've got a first year benchmark now. And from here, we really can monitor properly, can't we? So confirming that, I think we should do that. Take up the idea of some sort of KPI reporting on a reasonably regular basis without any doubt at all. If there are no further comments, I'm going to suggest that we have a look at the recommendations, only with the proviso of not altering it, but saying we will absolutely welcome scrutiny in board on these. But as the recommendations stand, can I just ask you to confirm your agreement to those recommendations, please? Is that agreed? Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. That takes us on to item 9, which is the household support grant, which Matt will take us through shortly. First, though, we have 3 speakers in the following order: Councillor Roberts, Councillor Harris, and Councillor Randall. Emma, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So first things first, and I've already said this in our anti-poverty working group meeting earlier on, and also privately to the director. I'm disappointed that the anti-poverty strategy oversight group didn't see this report beforehand. I made the request for that to happen. Unfortunately, the document had been published before it could be shared with them, but it'd have been great if we could have had an opportunity to review it before this morning when we had our meeting. I think in this morning's meeting, there were a number of points that were raised by all around the table that could have potentially factored into this report and could have helped with this commentary. The word anti-poverty strategy only appears, I think, twice in the document. And what I don't want to happen is that that group becomes a place where we almost wash a process against it. We've got to run it through it, not brush it and touch it. I don't think that's an intention. I think timings have done this, by the way. I want to make that clear. I don't think anybody's purposely done that at the moment, but we run a risk of that happening if we're not careful. Couple of questions. First one is there's a slice being given for food vouchers and food banks. Numbers in that paragraph in the table don't add up. The 650k apportioned across 2,000 people doesn't equate to the figure that's suggested per food bank, nor does it equate to the figure that's suggested per individual. So the report's got to be amended to deal with that. The figure doesn't work. There's a cut-off for January 2023 for redistribution of funds mentioned in the report. 5.5 is the relevant paragraph for these. I think it's going to be linked to the MI reporting dates that are required, but it isn't clear that that's the case in the report. And I think that's really crucial. And I think the report should be reflected to deal with that. And we did discuss it this morning. I think Councillor Gold will probably have something to say on that point. I'm really worried as well, as I'm sure many of us are, that come April 23, help's just going to stop. And I think we need to start off the back of this looking at what our future support packages look like. Lots of people on the school meals programme will be reliant on this now. And actually, I think one of our biggest challenges for the authority is reliance on these funds and the sums of money that have come forward. And we need to address that. There's at 7.11 of the report, there's a temporary team being recruited to deal with this process, but it doesn't say if it's existing staff, whether it's redeployment of staff or recruitment, and if it's new recruitment, how long will we have to recruit? How will we do that in time? All of those things that I'm sure Sarah and the Councillor Hallam will be going, like, what does that mean? And given that those, if it is existing staff, given that they were likely to become from a statutory service either offering already advice and support in a particular area, what does that do to the provision of that service? And how does that impact? And how much is that actually costing us? Because that's not detailed in the document as well. And how will we ensure that their services are managed and KPIs are there? You know, we're getting money from the government to support people. We need that money. People need that support. We also need a long-term funding review and longevity. That's not your fault. I'm not going to blame you and sit here mission statement in about that. The situation isn't good at the moment. There's question over uprating in benefits, and that's a massive issue that we've got to address. I'm hoping that Councillor Golby will be talking to colleagues about campaigning the government for maintaining that appropriate uplift. But right now, you know, thank you for the report. I appreciate there's a lot of work gone into it, but there's a lot of unanswered questions that arise out of it as well. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Emma. You raised some good points. Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank the project team, actually, who've been involved in putting this together in fairly tight timescales. I want to raise a couple of points, though, which I think I mentioned at a couple of cabinet meetings ago, and it's linked to the cost of living challenge. So it is indirectly linked to the HSF3. I mentioned that the hardship fund still had a reasonable amount of money in the pot. I think it was at 330k last time I checked, and that there was 72,000 in the Councillor COVID grant fund pot. I am aware of at least one request that's been made to draw down from those, but it seems like that's very difficult to get a list of which councillors have not allocated their funds. I don't think it should be secret by any means. My interest is simply that there's a large amount of money in both those pots potentially that could be reutilised and redirected for the cost of living issues. On this report specifically, it's great to see that there is now fuel voucher opportunity for those people in rural communities that are reliant on oil. It's good to see that that is accessible and potentially now a benefit for them. I'd like to know when the briefing is going to take place for the voluntary sector that are involved in this process, because they're very keen to understand what the process is. I'm sure that councillors will be aware that those groups work very hard the last round of HSF2 out, and I know that some of those groups spent a lot of time and didn't really get any support financially from an administration point of view. So I think it's something we just need to bear in mind that we are asking quite a lot of them. A couple of other quick points, if I may. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of the anti-poverty meeting this morning. Councillor Bearsworth is unwell at the moment, but I have spoken with Stuart and asked that I'm included that in the future to make sure that we do have representation. And look forward also to making sure that we take a broader view as a council. And from my conversation with Stuart earlier on, I'm encouraged that we are going to look wider around this issue. A final point, related but not directly, a plea, please. I know that there's work going on at the moment to grow the debt advice team. At the moment, technically, they only cover South Northampton, they don't cover Daventry and Northampton. I think they have two and a half heads effectively. I believe that proposal is moving forward, but could I urge that is progressed as quickly as we can? I know it's not HSL3 directly, but it is very
NPHD,
much linked to the
you're not a
issues that it's
tenant,
there
you're
to
an
support,
individual.
and
There's a way,
they
or
and
no
councillors need
living,
more resource on the ground to help.
in the
Thank you.
private dwelling, by the way.
Thank you,
The
John. Thank you very much indeed.
National
Wendy,
Housing Company,
want to comment?
companies, by the way, will have to give 28 days to pay a fee to this. We've got to find out where the regulator is for the emergency works and any other costs related.
I think we're all very worried
That's
about
why
the
they
situation
blocked
so many people
my
are facing at the
counterclaim
moment.
for gas services because they knew all this is going to happen.
It's taken a huge amount of time and effort from a lot of these voluntary organisations to, distribute these funds. I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they're up at all hours of the morning trying to put everything down that they need to and fill out all these drafts and forms. And it's detracted them from their main role. Would they do it again? Yes, they would, because they know that these people are in desperate need and they won't get this help otherwise. Got concerns last time of pensioners having to find a post office. It just seems cruel. And we've got to ensure that people don't go hungry. And how are we ensuring that, that people aren't going hungry? Women with babies, I think, were one group that were being missed off, as were many of the young people. It does say on 6.5 that several voluntary organisations with the food support sector will be provided with funds proactively. I don't know how many organisations that is involved.
Agents to give individuals,
but that's good to see. But
information
it would be nice if
accommodation,
anybody, all these organisations, if they had a little bit of money, that they could recruit somebody, to help them if they're struggling.
Right. So the presumption would be by using their freemason connections, allegedly, for individuals, allegedly, they claim may or may not
Thank you for those points. Thank you to all our speakers on that one.
This in the first place?
Quite a lot of points there to work through. Matt, have you got a few you want to pick off initially? I'm sure Stuart might add to a few as well. Should we start with you?
Yeah, thanks, Leader. Well, I'll run through the papers I plan to do and then try and address them as we go, and maybe Stuart can pick them up. So this is the Household Support Fund 3, following obviously Household Support Fund 1 and 2, and the time frame for this fund is the 1st of October to 31st of March next year, and our allocation is 2.6 million, which is similar to what we've had previously. There's usually
the housing
criteria that comes with this, and this isn't any different, albeit the criteria
is
slightly different, and it talks about reaching residents that are in work and receiving a low wage. So each time the criteria does change slightly. I think the first two rounds we've done as good a job as we possibly could have done in terms of getting that money out to the different groups in line with the criteria set by the DWP, acknowledging the points that this money probably isn't enough to deal with everybody that's out there that's facing hardship at the moment, but we've got to do our best with what we've got to do, and this next round is no different. One of the things I really want to do off the back of the meeting today, which I think was very good, and yes, Emma was talking about timing. It is difficult with timing, but I think the priority for us, and I'm sure everybody would agree, is making sure we're starting to put the mechanism and infrastructure in place to get the money out. And the timing was unfortunate, but I think we had a good rounded discussion this morning, and some of the points made were very good, and hopefully we can incorporate them and take them forward. One of the things I really do want to do is thank those voluntary groups and the food banks. Some of the partners were on the call this morning for the work they have done, and I get and understand the admin house about and the pressure that has put on, and I'm sure Stuart and I can go away and talk about how we can maybe further support some of these groups as they continue to be involved moving forward. The issue around the numbers and the figures was talked about again. I've just raised that now, and Stuart did say that we would try and get some clarity around that. And we also did talk about
Went
the fact
straight
that
to
we
the
need
House
to
of
look at
Lords,
this in more of
really.
a long-term way. And there's the
I
3
don't know
points
those
of our
actually,
anti-poverty strategy is 1, trying to
PDF.
help people in poverty now. 2 is try and do what we can to prevent people falling in poverty. And 3rd was how we can look to influence government. And I did say I'd raise it with cabinet colleagues, and I've done that already about us, myself, right, or with the leader, writing to our MP to highlight the fact that yes, of course we welcome this money, but we'd like a bit more of a long-term view. You know, can we try and sort of lobby to do anything about that? And also the points that were made this morning around benefits as well. I heard and understand that, whether there's a better way of you know, trying to support people, because it does feel that we get this criteria, we get the funds quite late in the day, especially when we're talking about things like school holidays. And you know, perhaps there is a better way of doing it, but you know, we're dealing with what we've got to deal with it now. And I think you know, off the back of the lessons that we've learned, and that is acknowledged in the consultation piece of the report, that
publication was drawn in 15th June.
Voluntary sector groups and partners that have helped us support and administer this. We are learning as we go along, and we're doing the best job.
Come back to the same page.
So I'm happy, Chair. There are some other points. The public health team have been supporting this, and I'm sure as we move forward, they're going to be the permanent.
You can't click on a link.
Permanent people that will be dealing with this. Briefing with the voluntary sector, I'll have to check when that is through Stuart. The debt advice. You know, Jonathan, if you can get on the next call, there's a huge amount of actions off the back of the anti-poverty work. There's 100, and I think there's actually more than 100 now, and a part of that is how we look to advise people. Wendy mentioned about the demand on the voluntary sector, and hopefully I'll address that. The organisations, I don't.
Right, you've got a draft.
The point around making pensioners go to the post office, I don't accept that point. And I did challenge whether we could have done that in a better way, but given the data and the issues at the time, that was the best way I think we could have dealt with how we needed to get that money through to pensioners previously. So I'm happy, Chair, that you know, to support the recommendations, with the caveat we did talk this morning about reviewing the spend at 31st of January, and including some sort of consultation or review with the anti-poverty working group and some of the members on there to incorporate that point in the last point of the recommendation. But I'm happy to accept the recommendations, recommend this to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Stuart, you want to add some comments?
Just a couple. I think Matt's quite comprehensively covered quite a lot of things. So firstly, just to reiterate that apology that we didn't have an opportunity preemptively to get this through with the anti-poverty oversight group. If I'm really honest, that was around the timelines attached to this, and in our haste to want to get the school meal vouchers out before half term, we've ended up kind of pushing this through. In relation to the administration costs across both the council and the voluntary sector, we envisage that that's going to be around 130,000, which is below the threshold that's described within the 2.6 million allocation. In relation to the temporary team, that will be around us bringing additional staff in to either backfill existing staff or to support the application process, because we recognise that we have to have the ability to deliver these services in a timely manner. But other than that, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else have any? David, you want to chip in on this one?
Yeah, just reference the COVID support fund, Council COVID support fund, that runs through to the end of the financial year. And we are
it's a white paper
to those councils who haven't spent it yet. With, for example, where there's failed bids for community funding grants, we would look to try and match those failed bids to councillors who haven't spent.
Well, that's new to me.
There's ongoing work. So
anybody else know that?
I think of any come forward, and we might match things up with suitable councillors' funds.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else comment on this at all? No. Okay, thank you. As Matt pointed out, the recommendations are at section 3. Can I just ask you to confirm your agreement to the recommendations? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Go on then, images.
You can't approve the report, Chair, because the numbers are wrong. So the numbers in the final square of the table suggest that you'll be allocating £20,000 per bank from the funding calculation. That per food bank part of the Food Aid Alliance, there are around 40 food banks as part of the Food Aid Alliance. The numbers don't add up. So that's what I was saying initially. You needed to amend that before you do it. I'm just very conscious that the wrong message gets delivered there.
So what I would suggest is that we put forward the recommendation to approve the 650k to be distributed to include the food banks, and I'll provide the clarity as to how many food banks will be included within that sum.
Does that, and thank you for pursuing that, Emma. If what we're confirming particularly is the 650, there's no apparent change then required to the recommendations. Did you want to comment, Catherine?
I think Stuart just proposed an amended recommendation, which was satisfactory.
8th September 2022.
Beg your pardon. Yeah, so
It's,
that you
it's
proposing
not
that as
gone
an
into
alternative
statute
recommendation. Yeah, I beg your
yet.
pardon. Okay, that's fine. So we've had an alteration then to that recommendation, confirming again agreement. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Right, this is a really good one, Shelter. They will
Takes us on to item 10. This is the new Public Spaces Protection Order, former Daventry and South Northants areas. This one is with David. We have two speakers, which are Councillor Randall and then Councillor Harris. So Wendy, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. A very, very lengthy document, and it's quite interesting if anybody's had the chance to read through those hundreds of pages. But the biggest concern is
they need to be
having these protection orders in place, but who is policing them? I know that I've heard the police often say that they haven't got the resources. So is that down to a council officer? Is it our wardens? Where are the wardens? Because there seems to be little pockets where there were issues. So I think Brackley come out quite strongly, and there's two in there that are quite similar. One, I think it's the first one about the means to pick up after your dog.
But it's just either
down, it says something to pick your dog mess up with. So they were quite similar. At the end of the day, it's just clearing up after your dog. But it was quite interesting actually, because in the towns, in Daventry itself, people are very good at clearing up after themselves, but it seems to be more open spaces where there seems to be an issue. And I often see villages often have issues. So you know, I don't know what policing teams have got where and when, but if you haven't got the resources, you know, then it's almost like a pointless exercise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Jonathan.
Thank you. This is an interesting one for me as I classify myself as a responsible 3-dog owner, but I completely echo the sentiment in the numerous comments from residents and the issues that they face regarding dog mess. It annoys and frustrates me hugely as well. I echo the comments made earlier on by Councillor Randall. My concern is about the enforcement issue. It's like the proverbial yellow lines in many villages. You know, they sit there and they actually do nothing because there's no enforcement mechanism behind it. So that's the bit that concerns me. And the report doesn't really talk about what that looks like, whether there's extra wardens, what the cost of that might be. And I guess for me, there's a balance here also. I think the report talks about a third of the population now are dog owners.
Housing companies.
It's a large group of people, and I think there is a risk also of getting balance maybe out of kilter a little bit. I think it's important that dog owners aren't stigmatised also. Actually, you know, it's for people who have dogs, they have them often for a reason. So I think although I agree with the sentiment, I think it's important that we recognise this problem and we do something about this problem. My concern is really about the whole issue of enforcement and what that looks like. And don't misinterpret that. There's no excuse for the issue. It's really just about making sure that it's a practical, balanced approach to dealing with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. David, over to you.
Yeah, thank you for those the comments. I
think
it's fair to say this consultation has been amazing in the number of responses, and that in itself is enough evidence for us to start putting wardens that we actually have in Northampton now there, Northampton, West Northamptonshire wardens. So there is some evidence or suggested evidence. So from an enforcement perspective, we can then push those wardens out into those areas. But the important thing tonight is for us to hopefully have Cabinet agree the PSPO. So I'll just go through a sort of an introduction on that. But there is the desire to catch people, and I'm amazed. I'm a dog owner. I think quite a few of the people in the room are dog owners. The amount of dog mess you see on occasion, you think, well, how did that appear? It seems to be fresh, but you never see the perpetrator. But you know, with this in place, at least we've got means through which to pursue. And if we have any pockets, for example, where Wendy's identified, then or was it Wendy? Then we need to look at that. It's not very nice. What I can say is, I remember as a kid, you're often standing on stuff, and many years later,
I thought so. I thought that'd be get out course.
So yeah, the proposal is for the PSPO, Public Station Protection Order, is to deal with various issues related to dog control and also smoking, which I was mentioned. In those parts of the district which were the Daventry district and South Northants. And we also are looking at this form as part of the PSPO, which will come into force again with a renewal in Northampton next year. The report provides a huge amount of feedback, and I'm encouraged by the public consultation. You know, Fiona over there, she got no responses to her consultation, and we garner a huge amount of responses to this. So yeah, there's a huge amount there. It's worth keeping. So I hope everybody keeps it on the bookshelf at home to reflect on a regular basis. So looking for cabinet approval for the PSPOs, but I'd like also to point out that we are looking for further consultation around dog on pitches. There's been some concern, so we're doing another 3 months of consultation through to the end of the year, and then we will look to go to consultation on that. I've had a lot of representation to me, and I know Councillor Brown has as well. And that was actually one of the reasons this report was delayed in coming before us. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Adam, you were going to comment, eh?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to comment briefly on recommendation B, which I'm grateful to officers to see, but included in the report tonight. I have been lobbied extensively by sports clubs in my ward for some protections for marked sports pitches, which are quite often fouled when they're out of use. And of course, the recommendations before us tonight only provide limited protections whilst they are in use, which of course is the equivalent of 80 or 90 minutes every other week or so. And as an occasional rugby referee, many has been the time that I've been shouted at by a frustrated captain saying, "Sir, dog mess, sir," although I didn't use the word mess. No one wants to end up at the bottom of the ruck with dog feces on the pitch, and it is something that we need further information on. And I'm very glad that that officers have gone to such efforts that we've got 6 sports clubs and sports grounds recruited to provide some valuable evidence. And there's in Daventry, Brackley, Towcester, Northampton, Woodford and Budbrook itself. So we should be able to establish the scale of the problem and where we can take appropriate measures. Because we do know that in certain villages, it's the sports pitches also double up as the local park, so that there is that dual use in many areas. So it's not necessarily the most straightforward issue in the world, but it is worth looking at. And as I say, no one wants their lad or their young girl to be playing football or rugby and to end up face down in a pile of something disgusting.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, and I think also this enforcement thing is interesting, isn't it? Most people do the right thing. So those that are normally responsible, hopefully this will encourage them to always be responsible. Those who have not tended to be responsible, maybe they'll start doing it too. It does mean if you're in a park or recreation ground in a village, you can say to somebody, look, I'm afraid the regulations are, you shouldn't do that. Can I lend you one of my plastic bags? You know, I think it encourages better behaviour, even if we can't be there to enforce all the time or watch all the time. We're going to comment on that, David, or yeah.
Yeah, only in as much as we are going to have a targeted enforcement off the back of this, and signage and education, so comms. I can't believe that we need to actually remind people to clear up behind their dogs, but clearly we do. So that's something we will do.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, don't think there are. Draw your attention to the recommendations which are at section 3. Can I just ask you to confirm your agreement to those recommendations? Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. That takes us to item 11. This one's with Malcolm. It's the procurement of election stationery. We have just one speaker actually, which is Councillor Wendy Randall. Wendy, over to you. You're happy not to comment? No? Okay. Malcolm, straight to you.
Yeah, fine. Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm doing this on behalf of Mike Hallam, Councillor Hallam, as he's working abroad at the moment. This is quite an interesting one. It's not quite as straightforward as it would have immediately appear. The current contract runs out at the end of April next year, and then we're looking to procure for a 4-year period. And whilst you think, well, that should be straightforward enough, it isn't at all, because apparently around the country there have been quite a number of errors in this in the supply of this and of course that's pretty disastrous when that happens. And so the concentration will be on getting the right supplier that can actually deliver this on time and to the right quality. So it's expecting that every time, but this is rather more important. Expected to be £1 million over the 4 years. And the other thing is that the number of suppliers are actually quite limited, because they all have to have, apparently, looking at my notes here, they have to have some arrangements with the Electoral Commission, so you can't just go to any printer. So it's come before you because of the scale of it, of course, but I thought I'd just let you know that it's a bit more to it than meets the eye. So thank you, Chair. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions at all? No, I think it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? As always, the recommendations are at section 3. Please actually confirm your agreement to the recommendations. Is that agreed? Thank you very much. We're staying with Malcolm now. Adoption and community use of assets. This is item 12 with 2 speakers. The first one is Councillor Harris, followed by Councillor Randall. Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. Mine's a fairly straightforward one, actually. The paper talks about potentially encouraging parishes to adopt the policy or a similar policy. And it's really just wondering what sort of dialogue or conversations have taken place with parishes. If parishes are inheriting or taking on assets, obviously one of the concerns they have is probably going to be relating to precept issues. In some of my smaller parishes, their total precept is not a huge amount of money, and even replacement bins, for instance, could be a rather large percentage. So it's really, the question is about whether or not they've been engaged in the consultation process or not at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Wendy, Councillor Randall.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, mine echoes actually what Councillor Harris has said. Parish and town councils don't always feel they are consulted with, so that is a worry. You know, so I wanted to know how we are involving those. Prevention is key. So before the adoption or disposal of assets, we need to know what is happening in each area and what needs to be happening. For example, we need to know family hubs, what buildings are going to be used, what organisations are going to come in to deliver services, same with youth, where are they going to be? The voluntary sector is facing a crisis, got escalating costs, means many organisations cannot afford the essentials of offices and storage. We have many underused or unused buildings that we're already keeping warm, and then we're looking at security. How can we strengthen, you know, those relationships? Yes, that's all really. It's
look up the law societies
and everybody together around the table, and you know, just strengthening those really. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Malcolm.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Thanks, Jonathan. Well, it's quite interesting because was put to the cabinet to discuss it, and a very similar reaction was came from that. What it actually says is this is effectively an answer, and if you read it closely, you'll see what it's looking for is to consult and take that consultation further. And
right, I've got to say goodbye. Catch everything up later, another day. Hi, when PVP popped in, I'm being distracted, unfortunately. Got to end this stream. Gonna go into my videos quickly. Get a fresh up, I ain't got much time. Something I've got to do. Good job, got something to eat. Oh my goodness me. Come on, stop monitoring everything I bloody do. Goodness me, give me a break. Have to watch things on the go, do things on the go later. Can't be distracted from what I need to do. Right, just a catch up. That makes sense what's going on. Right. There's a certain individual that is connected to West Northamptonshire Council Limited Company, but I can't mention who. Obviously, let's get rid of that. And basically, what's happening, I knew this was happening. In Agenda 2030, everything's changing. So you got the homeless people, right? So a very key Freemason, well-known one, involved in a lot of demonic things. It makes a lot of sense, and I just kept to quickly research this, why people are not getting back to me on their duty of care. In statute law, when you learn the difference between statute law and contract law, etc., what I said earlier briefly, I haven't got too much time to go into it. I might do another video when I've done some more research. The emergency remedy area of a new statute act coming in, it's not actually gone into the system yet, full blown. This will have, there's nothing I've read briefly so far to protect disabled people. I'm running down a battery too. So, and also it still doesn't actually, like a shelter is a limited company and it's online, a shelter. Their procedure I've tried years ago before also to get some remedy for what's going on. I've got nowhere to. yeah, I tried everything, all sorts, trying to get a remedy, and there never was one. That's why I studied subjects I know now. So basically, is this assumption presumption being made, and the offer of a survey of a private dwelling, if you have a house or flat in a rental subject, not if you own it, in England, then the assumption may be, especially in my situation, and you're targeted individual in England, anyone sees that are targeted, subjected to that unlawful gaslighting, it may be and may not be, and make an assumption that one is found to be in a substandard home and cause immediate risk of serious harm. This is all to do with the wet room, which they should have remedied 2017. I've got all this evidence of negotiating, blah, blah, blah. I won't go into it all right now. I haven't got time. And I've still got the emails and documents. Now, I've also found out the Agenda 2030 policies were in my area. NHS England Limited Company is funding called Better Care Funds. Their policy in connection with the disability facility grant that will be going into the NHS England budget, public funded, and that every town and city will have their budget, what's known as ICANN, and it's integrated. It's all to do with integrated health and care, and you need to look at data protection of your personal data reference to this. I will keep gaslighting subject out of any correspondence. Any offer of goods and services needs to be full disclosure terms and conditions. You might not get the time. And the way things are happening with me now, the Health and Social Care Department is also limited companies or business and commerce. I have these printouts already. Haven't got much time. What I need to do very, very shortly. I'll come back on this if I'm able to. That individual agents tomorrow don't show up either, and they don't accept my 6 auto-date 6 counter claim offers. I know why they're not doing it now. This housing company is working in tangent together with the local public servants in my area, have always been, and nationally too. The national new policy is tangent in line with the subject of Agenda 2030, and it will be a future Agenda 2050, smart accommodation, smart technology, smart this, smart that. It's all one needs to look at Agenda 2030 and then research various subjects interlinked with the other subjects interlinked to that. I can't go into it right now. So the housing new policy in England 2021 is a draft for 2025, and this area is the first for England to go smart city, by the way. They're building all these new flats, every opportunity around this area, especially centralised. And please look at the very good people, Deborah, something like that, can't remember, I have to go into it another time. She's been warning people, and so has other people for years, about the future of all these policies and the bigger picture for the other countries, but England is leading the way, especially my area. So now I know why nobody's got back to me for 2 years of other contract offer goods and services for 2 years in a row. I know why they're using the wheelchair company service to deliberately not get back to me about my wheelchair as well. They've been, when they send agents out, they're looking at the condition of my home and they're reporting back with a bigger picture. Presumptions is not my fault. I didn't cause all this. I have held people accountable for what they've been doing and still doing. At the end of the day, blessings and God bless to those that are going through what you're going through. So, no disrespect to all you members of Freemasonry, but when you get in and hide the facts, what's been going on behind the scenes for years, and you can, what's going on in my situation, go back on the channel, have a look. Gotta go, blessings and prayers, and I will catch up with the people's comments and not comments, but their own experiences themselves. Blessings to high empowered, so I haven't been able to respond. Trying days. Now I've got to go. Sorry I can't type in the stream, but hello. Maria, yeah, I'm not doing great. This is major problems here. How are you? I'm listening. You're a treasure of knowledge. Just found out that Sweden signed the A30 with the 2020 and 349 politicians present in the chamber during the sea treason. See, this is, sorry, I shall be back on later. I hope it don't happen. I've got to go and do something, which I've been messed about with all day today. Oh, how are you? It is happening worldwide. Please educate yourself.org. Please go, you know, I'm just saying people that are not aware. Yeah, just I'm really going for it. It's not great. I'm trying to keep spiritually strong, but they're draining me. Educateyourself.org is a very important website. If you focus on what you're personally going through and your own area, wherever you live, and then go on that website, that stream above, it's not mine, it's just what I found a long time ago. Go into the section called Bill Cooper and just start listening to, in my opinion, don't read a lot because there's a lot to take in. Just listen, whatever you're doing, just listen to the background. There are people on YouTube uploading his audio work from the 1990s. They did him away. I mean, this stuff happened to him, and they set him up in America. But yet his work has still been get out there. So, anyone that has a health issue, has disability, okay, please, absolutely, England is leading the way for the biotech. And why do you think the targeted program is here? They've been testing upon us unlawfully in the biotech, and all sorts of things are related to that. Past to date, here we are living the end of times now. Always have been. Be prepared for this month even more, because this is when the satanic ritual abuses, the Satanists like and do their demonic things. They do it always, but they just seem to choose this period of time to do it more. Right, I've got to breathe. I've got to try and chill out. And yes, Maria. Oh, you know, you're a blessing. You're always a blessing. You pop in, you cheer me up when I'm having a bad day. Oh. Yeah. The biolabs. Yeah. 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 Right. It might be late evening. I don't know what time it is for you in Sweden, but if I've got the energy, I'll come on. I usually stream my sleep, and I'm going to try not to react, because I know now they want me out the flat. They want me to lose 13 years renting. It's unlawful. And the little money I do have, I've got to go and take it out the bank. I'm not, you know, and I can't afford, if I'm going to miss the shop where I need to get to, then stop it, because at the end of the day, all about the energy crisis is just a bloody, you know what, going on, because they want everyone on smart meters, like they done smart meter without my consent on water. Everything is, if you want to look at George Orwell. You might want to Google search that, or other search engines are out there, or you might want to look at this is why they target me. I don't know why I have learned all this stuff. Perhaps this is why I'm still here at the moment. Anytime they can mash, they can lie and come through my door and say, make things up about my psychological health, whatever, because they want me out of the way. And the place, the way I'm living, is not my doing. It is by the blocking of the repairs, and it's done by design. So yeah. Oh wow, yeah. I've got to go. We're not far behind you on the time. Yeah. COVID, COVID-19 policies in England are still about. Okay. I just saw a post, I can't mention specifics on this platform, but I just saw someone's post from England and what happened to their relative and what age she was, and it's an England hospital. And there's still things it's still about. So not that, but certain policies. And that all works in tangent together. Watch these words in your area called integrated care. Anything sustainability, integrated care, social stability, or all these buzzwords in documents or on public servants' websites. It's the global Agenda 2030, and it's more to do with the future Agenda 2050. But in England, I can only quote bits and bobs I know about from personal experiences, and having to use these documents, and sadly it's you have to keep going. Right. Blessings to you, Maria. Getting scary. It is 100%. And what with the control of the food supply, water, and everything else. Oh gosh. So what I'm about to do, I have to be careful. Getting scary harder by the day. We need to prep now any way possible. I can only do my situation. It's what they're constantly doing to me, is having to constantly, I can't afford expensive ink. So what I'm about to do, if it's still open, is to get just one item. And this is where, again, in England, they constantly got bloody delivery postal strikes. My important affidavit and document rebuttal was posted on Monday about this subject of housing to protect my bloody interest, okay? And best I know, but they are demonic. That a lot of these people have been sold out, are going along with all this because they know personally, if they go against it, their personal lives or family or friends will be affected. So they are just looking at number one. There are good guardian angels, really good spiritual guardian angels out there. I call it starseeds in my opinion, but they are on the attack. These demonic forces are really out to get people that are waking up, that I know they are we are fighting back lawfully, and people are waking up spiritually, and they're getting really concerned, the global cabal, and they really hate it. So locally, nationally, in my situation, they're going to town on me. And is that going to turn on me? You can imagine what they're doing to other people that's not really knowledgeable yet. But any little bit of information you have, the better. Anyway, that's it. I know there's a connection, strong ones, SWE UK, the house owners, bankers, as well as Wallenberg. I can't pronounce that. Something AB, and else families. Yeah, the 13 bloodline families is very important on that website. You look at the past, just keep it brief, keep it simple, and bring it forward today where we are. And then, you can't predict the future, but they've already planned it all already. So spiritually, it's very hard to keep focus on the spirituality because they've been triggered me for 2 days. So I'm sure you could tell by the tone of my last 2 streams. I'll keep this public anyway. Yeah, I'm signing out. I've got to go. I really haven't got much time. Blessings to you, Maria, and everybody else that's trying to fight lawfully. Take care.